Where we left off last time, we can begin with that. That is Marx's comments on economic equality, etc. Marx believed that true democracy is achieved only after the withering away of the state. We all know this. Now, what is the experience of the 20th century social democracies? Many social democracies after the Second World War, in Europe particularly, to some extent in the United States, but mainly in Western Europe, they tried with achieve various methods of achieving economic equality. And the main debate was whether, and if so, to what extent and by what methods the state should correct economic inequality in the distribution of property income. The answer generally we find from the experiments made in different social democratic countries of Europe. We find that various measures of redistribution of income has introduced greater economic equality. Now, what are those various methods? Just briefly, it can be indicated that taxing the rich and reimbursing for the benefit of the poorer. Secondly, regulating wage rates. There cannot be any flat wage rate, obviously, but wage rate can be regulated in terms of the market conditions and in terms of the standard of living which is desired by the community as a whole. Thirdly, expenditure on public social services. When government spends money on housing, on education, on public health, on slums improvement, on the elders education. So all this means redistribution of income in the society. So by all these measures they tried various countries in various ways according to their political situation, according to the resources available. They all tried, and their conclusion is this, that yes, economic inequality can be satisfactorily reduced, not wholly but satisfactorily reduced, and economic equality can be realized, and that will lead legal equality to be a little more safe. Because there is a joke in many countries of newly developed countries that when the liberals claim that we have given legal equality to everybody. So Anatole France once made the comment, yes, liberals has given us freedom. Freedom to go without food, right to remain hungry, right to remain unclothed in inclement weather, and the right to sleep under the bridges. Is this freedom we want? Is this the freedom liberals are glorifying? So that is really the problem. The problem, it is better to conclude that the quality and the extent of equality, especially economic equality, will depend on the factors of politics, that is political development, the phase of development of the society as such, and the culture of the country. The culture of the country is very important. In the last lecture, we are just referring to the South African situation, that Nelson Mandela's heroic struggle became successful. Democracy was established in South Africa. But till now, nobody can claim, even Mandela's party doesn't claim that it has been possible to introduce social equality perfectly. Because the very culture of the society, they give special privileges to those who are economically better placed. Automatically, you will find. In India, in other South Asian countries, you will find that crores and crores of rupees being spent for helping the poor. Now, when you look at the implementation, how much of benefit actually reach the poor? The champions of these schemes, they admit the lacuna, but only after they have already enjoyed some term in political office. Then for getting the votes again, okay, there were some mistakes. Okay, we will now do next time. Please vote for us. So that is the tragedy of equality. Nobody says that I am against equality. But the point is, what do the men mean by it, and what are the difficulties, and how they are trying to tackle those difficulties. Now, Barker, I think we should go back to Ernest Barker, the Oxford professor, really very eminent philosopher of 20th century. Now, his comment is that we should agree, irrespective of all debates, that economic equality is not an absolute value. It is just a value which must square with the supreme value of which it is a part.
So what does it mean?
Supreme value means releasing the capacity of the individual development, which is the aim of democracy. I said earlier, I repeat it again, and I repeat many times in the class also, that mere holding of regular election is no sign of democracy as such. Many anti-democratic regimes also hold elections. I am not giving examples, you can easily imagine.
Yeah, many of our neighboring countries.
Many. So, Barker, I think, is quite correct. She say, what is our ultimate value? Ultimate value is to respect human personality, which humans were lacking during the feudal regime, when the people were lacking in this during, 19th century England, the bleak picture that Charles Dickens portrayed. So, ultimate value is to help the individual to develop the personality in an unfettered way to his own satisfaction. So, if this is my final goal, economic equality is necessary. Yes, it is necessary, but it will always square with, it must just conflict with this original supreme value. So, Barker points out that there are certain factors to be considered when trying to remedy the inequality of wealth or inequality of outcome. Everybody agrees, okay, disproportionate wealth in a society possessed by different classes of people is not good and is not a good ethical idea also. But there are certain things which must be taken into account. First of all, the amount of possession of wealth depends on, first, inheritance. Secondly, fortunate investment. So many people invest, and investment is a legal right, but in some cases it misfires. In our country, we have just the recent experience how lakhs and lakhs of people have been unfortunately punished by their investment in a particular scheme. So that is a very good, very important item. Thirdly, local environment of individual efforts made. This is again cultural point. From culture to culture, you will find that people habit of being sincere to work varies. Those who do not think deeply, they claim that because pay is poor, so people are idle, people are not attending to their work. I think it is a lame excuse. It has been repeatedly found in many societies, not only in India but also in countries like Netherlands, particularly, when wage rate is increased and people become more idle, lazy. In Britain it has been experienced that when social security is increased, unemployed benefit is increased, youths or job seekers become or tend to become more and more idle because they know that the moment I am out of work, I will get
Social security.
yes benefit, unemployment benefit, and it will come in a higher dose. So that is a very important thing. It is a matter of culture, and very rightly Barker has also included the point of chance factor in life. There is something, an element which cannot be explained. There is a chance factor in everybody's life. There is no routine method to success. That if you do like this, if you read very scrupulously, attentively, you will score high marks. Not necessarily. Not necessarily, I tell you. I mean, not mechanically necessarily assured. So chance factor in everybody's case. So all these things taken together, the demand for abolishing inequality of position cannot be supported on moral grounds. Because I have just pointed out a few moments ago that it is really nonsense to claim that all private property will be abolished. It is not possible, simply not possible. What Marx wished has not been achieved anywhere. Even in China, you see, everything has been changed for the benefit of private property now. Only the signboard is there that politically the party is in command, but economically it is completely almost capitalist. So anyway, as you will think and think over it, you yourself will be able to discover something very important. Now I come to the last important aspect that may be called that equality as a value, political value, is correlated with two other values. One is liberty, which we had the occasion to discuss in earlier classes, and the cultural value of fraternity. Now some people are of the opinion, oh, fraternity, that is not that important, it is a rhetoric, etc., etc. It is not. Fraternity truly means that empathy for the disadvantaged people. Those who are maybe chance factor, maybe this and maybe that, they are not in life sufficiently well placed. Who will look after them? It is easy to say, well, government will do, well, parliament will do, well, administration will do. But again, the real experience of the whole world is that desired result doesn't come automatically. So that is a point that unless we feel empathy for suffering people, fraternity is not realized. And so if that is not realized, what about equality? Legal equality, I have just said, Anathat first said that it has no meaning as such. If suppose in India somebody is wronged by a law or by this and etc. or somebody else, and then the liberals will say, well, you have got the right to go to the courts, lower court, high court, Supreme Court. Now to not only a poor person but even to a middle class person, is it not a joke to be given the promise that you have got the right to go to Supreme Court to defend your right? So all these are not empty slogans, but it is not easy to realize. That is the point. But what the basic fact is that liberty and equality, they are correlated. Correlated in the sense that unless there is economic equality to some tolerable extent, liberty is not well safeguarded. Liberty was given to the lower class people in India and other third world countries. But when the upper classes challenge came, could they defend their rights? Nowhere. Nowhere. maximum they created some violence, some revolt, some sacrifice, some death, some bloodshed. But could they realize what they stood for?
Never.
I don't think in any country. So, political philosopher must accept the point that economic equality, equality as such, and especially economic equality and social equality must correlate itself with liberty. Now see it from the other angle. If there is no liberty, can equality be sustained?
No.
Suppose in a country there is a military coup. Look at the recent experiences in the Arab world. Coup after coup, revolt after revolt, uprising after uprising, this spring, that spring are coming and going. But the chill of wintry of inequality continues, sometimes increased, as in Libya, as in Syria, as in Egypt. So nobody knows. So liberty and equality are interdependent. This is a very, very relevant idea to pursue. Now we can conclude by noting the recent consensus about equality. If we have to make a conclusion short, that in very recent time there has been two major phrases in regard to equality which is being debated fiercely. That which is more important, equality of outcome or equality of opportunity? What is your answer?
Sir, equality of opportunity is more relevant.
Exactly. This answer is expected. But is it the final answer?
We don't
It is,
know.
everybody has got the tendency to say, okay, equality of opportunity, more democratic, opportunity must be given equal. Okay, all right. Even John Rawls, while elaborating his theory of justice, ultimately came to the point that opportunity should be equal.
It is
And if necessary, some unequal measures can be taken to benefit the deprived classes, provided real benefit accrue to that class. You see, provided. To some extent, he says that a regime can be called a just regime. That means, to quote his very important word, fair. Justice, we will have next occasion to discuss it. Rawls defined fairness is justice. To be fair, isn't it? And now, even the latest researches conducted by Amartya Sen and his colleagues and collaborators, they have also, I think, come to this idea that fairness and justice are correlated, and the health of democracy depends on these two. Secondly, it has to be noted that the two concepts are not fundamentally different. I mean, equality of outcome and equality of opportunity. Now, those who are supporting equality of outcome, those who are opposing equality of outcome means the total substance, how much wealth, property, this is outcome. Now, those who are opposed to the unequal position of wealth or property, they are speaking always in favor of equality of opportunity. But the point is that if we emphasize and focus on, their argument is, if we focus on equality of outcome, this very concept of outcome connotes some sort of communistic thinking, that it must be reduced. Personal wealth must be reduced, if necessary by confiscation, by abolition of private property. But this is simply not possible.
Yes.
If this is done for the sake of justice, democracy is automatically killed. If you confiscate, by strength of the government, by state power, if you do something violently, that you will not have this thing because we are for equality, that means you are destroying democracy.
One won't have the incentive to work harder then.
Yes, that is also, why should people work for this? And then who will be poorer? The whole society will be poorer in course of time. So this is a very good argument to remember. And greater equality of outcome is taken to reduce relative poverty. Because poverty is also in a sense relative. There cannot be absolute concept of poverty. That very popular slogan has got really a good implication that through capitalist pattern of development the rich get richer and poor get poorer. It is substantially true, but not by measurement. It is by, if we go by measurement, everybody's income is improved in course of even capitalist development. But compared to the rate at which the rich people get richer is far higher than the rate to which the poor people get richer or get more pay. If both are getting some additional income or wealth because of development, but in case of vested interest, it is much higher than the ordinary people. So the conclusion should be that poverty is always relative in nature. Again I say, in which culture, what kind of use people are doing to their whatever income they have. There is a parable of talents in Bible.
Yes.
Every God has given talents to everybody, but everybody is not equally well placed. So that is the message. So Marx often, even Marx felt often that strictly speaking, perfect equality cannot be the ideally best. You see his wording. Ideally, perfect equality is not the best solution, as you have rightly pointed out. If all are really made equal by mechanical things, by artificial, by confiscation, by law, etc., then automatically incentive will be destroyed. Because human mind, human psychology, everybody's, they ultimately hanker after recognition. Rich, poor, educated, uneducated, male, female, we would be happy if my merit is recognized, isn't it? Anyway, so we conclude with this, the present situation of political philosophy. We have got a new variety coming since the 1970s, new liberalism. New liberals like Hayek or Nozick and Friedman. Hayek the political philosopher, Nozick the typical technical philosopher, and Friedman the economist. They have all argued that equality of outcome would involve coercion by government. If we want to do it, then that means government has to be coerced. It has to coerce individuals. That is not good for liberty or freedom. Rawls and Durkheim, they are libertarians, and they advocate enlarging equality of opportunity. And again, the irresistible Amartya Sen comes in, who very recently has coined a new word, equality of autonomy. The word autonomy, in a philosophical, social, economic sense, or political sense, in every sense, autonomy, basically it means right of choice and the degree of empowerment. So, Amartya Sen, when he means equality of autonomy, he means actually that autonomous development is to be given to the individual who will exercise his autonomy of choice. You cannot recommend one kind of food for everybody. Similarly, you cannot recommend one kind of political value for everybody. And therefore, I think the best conclusion that we reach is equality and liberty are interdependent. And simultaneously, we must also agree that without equality, liberty is dangerously insecure. I think that ends a long discussion, and you have got some general idea of what equality stands for, what are the difficulties, what are the remedies, what are the shortfalls of the remedies, and finally where should it reach.